Welcome to Tasty Tuesdays and Embed with Possibilities podcast. I'm Lorraine Hughes, your happy little host today. And tonight I have Lisa from OMGhee. So the beautiful Lisa is a producer of OMGhee, Australia's premier ghee brand. Often confused with clarified butter, ghee is a good fat. Think of it like an avocado that you can cook with. Ghee has been used by natural practitioners for thousands of years to boost immunity, to reduce inflammation, increase bioavailability of food you eat, and even lower cholesterol. If you love butter but want a healthier option, OMGhee is your healthy lactose-free butter alternative with a load of benefits and an easy supermarket swap and the first step in your wellness journey. Welcome, Lisa. I am so happy and privileged to have you with me tonight on Tasty Tuesdays. How are you going?
I'm really well. Thanks for having me, Lorraine.
I am so looking forward to sharing your story, first of all, with the beautiful audience here, and then we can go into talking a little bit more about the product. So I would love to know, how did you begin on your wellness journey?
My wellness journey. Well, I think that wellness is something that we kind of, we're always on that journey. I don't think there's many times where we're not thinking like, oh, gee, maybe I needed to get a little bit more sleep last night, or maybe I shouldn't have drunk that much, or, maybe I should go for a run, or maybe I should go to the gym, or, I think doesn't matter what age we are. I think I've thought along those lines for most of my life. And it comes to head when you're unwell. That wellness really comes to the forefront. So, but in most recent times, I guess, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's and I was very unwell. I had tremendous brain fog, lots of inflammation, and thought I was going to lose my job because I just hold a thought in my head. At the same time, I was going through just the end of menopause. I'd been quite early in menopause. So it was just like all these compounding things, right? Yeah. So
Can you explain a little bit what Hashimoto's is? Because I don't know that everybody really knows what that is.
Hashimoto's is a thyroid condition. It's an autoimmune.
Okay.
Yeah. So and the opposite of it is Graves. A lot of people might have heard of Graves because there was that television show with the name Graves in it. Yeah. So as a part of that, I'd always been interested in health and wellness. I think because my mum was like a school dental therapist, and so she was always really big into nutrition. So, we never had fizzy drinks in the house. It was always eat an apple. We didn't really have lollies. I could remember, I don't know if your parents ever hid things, but, my mum used to hide that. She used to like white nights, and she used to hide them at the top of the cupboard. So I'd be like, oh, I wonder if I can find one of those, But generally speaking, there was no junk food in our house. So it really surprised me when I went to a friend's house and they had like Coca-Cola in the fridge. It was just like, oh my God, and I think I've taken for granted all that education that I had growing up just from being in a healthy household in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
But most recently, when I was really unwell, it was more about doing a whole heap of short courses.
Okay.
Yeah, so just looking at different wellness courses. I looked a bit at iridology, looked at naturopathy. I'd kind of gone down that road a little bit in my early 20s. And I did an Ayurveda short course. And as a part of that, I went to the doctor and he said I needed to have half a teaspoon of ghee every morning to reduce inflammation in my body. And I did that, and down the rabbit hole I went.
Wow. Oh my God. I just got tingles all over my body when you said that, because I'm just like, I know so many people with inflammation issues, and I'm just like, gosh, how many of them could actually be helped with your beautiful product? We'll get back to that in a minute.
And you know, with an autoimmune, and inflammation's often a sign of something else going on, right?
Hmm.
But I remember I started to get achy joints as well, and I went to the doctor. I don't know why I went to the doctor, but I did. And the doctor, I do have a couple of different medical professionals, some more natural based, and a really highly respected integrative doctor who's really open to me taking control of my own journey and acting more as an advisor, and suggesting tests we could run, or suggesting things that I don't know, but really letting me be in control of my healing journey. He was the only doctor that I went and said, like, my body wants to heal. I believe I can. They say with an autoimmune, you can never heal yourself, right? And I was like, no, I believe the body has intelligent design, and I believe that we can heal ourselves. And he didn't sort of laugh me out the clinic, which the first doctor said, absolutely, you'll be on medication for the rest of your life, and no, it doesn't go backwards. But I remember going to him, and I don't know if anyone else has this experience, just the medical profession in general sometimes, but like really sore hands, like arthritis type of thing. And it goes, oh yeah, well, you've got an autoimmune now. You get every other autoimmune, just little in smaller amounts. So that's just a little bit of arthritis. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, no, this is not how we should be living.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
yeah, the body talks to us all the
yeah,
time.
absolutely.
But we've been so disconnected from the method of interpreting those signs and signals from our body that we've been so indoctrinated to just pop pills, as opposed to going, well, actually, what is your body trying to tell you? And I totally get it, because back in my journey into my spiritual journey and my wellness and my health journey, I had started to develop precancerous cells in my cervix. And that was how I got into Ina Segal, and I learned how to do light healing, and
She's
just
amazing, isn't she?
absolutely incredible. And at that time, I had no idea that the divine healing intelligence that she was talking about is me. It's my own internal divine healing intelligence. I thought it was like God or the universe or creator or whatever from outside of myself. I had no idea that I was actually doing this for myself. And so it's like you said, that whole thing of being able to speak with medical professionals who do actually get it, who get the fact that, yes, you can do incredible, amazing things with the right mindset, and the will and the determination to do so. So it's really cool that you've had that experience, and you've got that experience with you at the moment. That's just so super cool. So
Yeah, I think I'm a person that will just never say no. Like if you tell me I can't do it, I'm gonna say, well, and I think I can, I'm gonna say, well, I'll show you. So yeah.
I love that you're like that.
Yeah.
So, along with your journey into that, how do you go from having half a teaspoon of ghee a day to then moving forward into creating this big, beautiful business of yours?
I know, right? I've been in coaching and consulting for like 20 years. So that was my day job, if you like.
Yeah.
And I was having the ghee and feeling better for it. I mean, like, let's face it, it's caramelized butter. It tastes delicious. And all of a sudden, here I am. I have this doctor approved, healthy fat that I can eat. And who doesn't like roast potatoes covered in like butter and,
Mm-hmm.
like, so that was pretty exciting for me as a butter addict. I found myself just standing in front of the stove cooking the ghee, and hence coined a phrase, some people meditate, I cook ghee, because as a type A type of personality, like on the go the whole time, and excuse me, that's just how my brain works. I find it really hard to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
So standing in front of the pot of ghee, and ghee is like a 2-year-old. If you leave it, it's going to froth over or do something. It requires this immense patience to just stand there, watch it. It starts to talk to you. That was my experience. So I found that I just got into this kind of meditative state when I was doing it. And so it was really, the ghee almost became a metaphor for me. Like there was, as the butter was transforming, I was kind of transforming in the same process. It was really quite beautiful. Yeah, that's kind of what happened. I knew I was a goner, if you like, when I went to the supermarket one day, because I was just making it for myself, and learning all about the health benefits, going down that rabbit hole. And I was in the supermarket aisle, in the butter aisle, and you know how cold those sections are. And I was in there for so long that I was starting to get goosebumps, like from the cold. And it was like I had two people on each, a person on each shoulder, Devon and an angel kind of thing. And because here I am thinking, like, I wonder how that butter would respond in the pan. I wonder how that butter would respond in the pan. I wonder how that butter would respond in the pan. So this innate curiosity about this transformation process. And, this one's saying, why don't you cook them all and find out? And this one's like, don't be stupid. You're like, I dare you, And I said to my husband, do you mind, like if we get every single one of this? And he's really relaxed. He lets me do, whatever I want him really. And he goes, yeah, no worries. And I did. I went home and I cooked every single butter that I bought, from the cheapest of the cheapest to the most expensive. And the Paris Creek Farms butter, the biodynamic butter, just relaxed into the pan, and it just sort of said, oh, yes, just make me ghee. Just totally transformed. Yeah, and, getting back onto the metaphors, it just allowed itself to be transformed. It just succumbed to the process. Whereas some of the other brands were like, just fought me the whole way and spitting and spatting and, frothing up more than it, you would hope. And yeah, so I did that. I cooked every butter and sort of found my butter that I enjoyed the most. And then I started selling it through Facebook, family and friends kind of thing. Gave away a lot of jars to start off with, just because, oh yeah, you should try this. I'm just the type of person that when I love, or I discover something and I think it's a good idea, I just get really enthusiastic and want to tell everyone about it. So
I totally get it.
Yeah.
So we met a couple of months ago now, and I bought one of your beautiful jars of ghee. And
Did you like it?
I'm now on to my second jar.
I like to hear.
And the best part is that my partner, who is a little bit dairy intolerant, loves it too.
Lactose-free.
Yeah, exactly. And do you know what? I didn't kind of put the connection together about the inflammation and stuff like that too, because the funny thing is he's a little bit funny with some other foods as well. And I think that the ghee is actually helping to settle down his intolerances to some other foods as well. Not sure, but I think it might have something to do with it. Just like when you're so inflamed in the gut area, everything sets you off. So
ghee's really high, as is butter. But because we kind of like are distilling the butter, ghee's higher than butter in butyric acid.
okay.
And look, can I just preface this conversation with I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a naturopath. This is just, the reading that I've done, my life experience, talking to the Ayurvedic doctor who taught me how to make it, because when I first told me to have ghee, I remembered the green tin at the back of my grandma's pantry.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't convinced. I mean, it was probably rancid. It probably sat there for years. But, I wasn't convinced. But I was dutiful. Like, I trusted him. So I went off and I bought some ghee. And the next time I saw him, I just said, it tastes just like medicine. Here I was thinking I'd have this wonderful product. But because I was doing this course, he said, that's all right. I'm going to teach you how to make it. And that's when I made it, it was like chalk and cheese. It's like, oh my God, this is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And the process of making it that I was taught as well is the Ayurvedic method. That's Indian medicine.
Okay.
And they place so much emphasis on the energy of the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about it, if you're ever grown up in a home where, things weren't quite right sometimes and people are yelling and screaming, you can't sit and eat. You just can't digest when there's that type of atmosphere, there's anger or that kind of thing. And as the cook, you put that energy into the food. So he was really big on the energy of the person making it as much as the surrounding and being blessing the ghee and all that type of thing. And but back to butyric acid is what
Tell me
helps.
more.
Well, it helps with the gut lining, apparently.
Wow.
Yeah, so ghee's amazing for gut health. It's great for gut health, brain health, and I'll tell you why. Starting off with saying that it's a really big myth that people say ghee is clarified butter. Clarified butter is clarified butter, ghee is ghee. There's a reason why it's called something different. And we cook the butter for so long, we're actually changing the structure of the fatty acid chains.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very similar, not identical, but similar to your cell membranes. So it helps things cross in and out of the cell. So not only are you healing the gut, but you're going through detoxification, so taking things out of the cell. It's a fat as a carrier, it's going to take things out of the cell. As well as they use it in natural medicine to put all their herbs and medicines in it to drive nutrients deep into the body really, really quickly. So it carries things into the cells quickly. It also increases, and this is where I start to think about your partner. I don't know what's going on there, but yes, his gut would be healing through eating ghee, but also increases what they call the bioavailability of the food you eat. So what you're eating, you're getting more out of it, which is really important. If you're going into, we're in a everyone's watching their dollars at the moment, and if you're going out and buying beautiful organic food and things like that, then you want to get the most out of it. And it carries things into the cell. I know I kind of feel like I'm going over here, right? So
yeah, no, please carry on. I know I love all of that stuff.
But when you first start taking ghee, and I don't know if you experienced this yourself, Lorraine, you become a little bit high on the hog on it. Like I was eating so much of it. People will say, I eat it off the spoon. And I just let them know that that's okay because that will calm down. It's like the ghee is grabbing something in your body. It might be a nutrient, a vitamin, whatever, that you're not sort of getting enough of. And when it's getting it, it's grabbing it and it's taking it deep. And so until you're hit that, how do you say the word, satiety of that level that your body needs, you're going to keep craving it. And then it's like, oh, okay. And now you think of the ghee producer, I'd be like slapping it on, I'm just using a little bit here, a little bit there.
Yeah.
But initially I was
Absolutely.
like, ugh. I can see we've got Julie in the comments
Yeah.
says, can you use ghee for all your cooking? Absolutely, Julie. And really while we're here talking about all the health benefits, really it's perfect. I loved it as the home cook. That's why I was cooking my own, because I'm a cook at home. We always cook things from scratch. It's got the highest smoking point of all fats. So that's the level of temperature it will go to before you start to get all these free radicals sort of coming off of it. The avocado is as high as avocado oil and ghee. So there's two camps. The ghee people go, no, ours is the highest. And the avocado oil people go, no, ours is the highest. But it's pretty much up there with both, So doing your roast potatoes in it, because it's higher than duck fat, and so you can have beautiful roast potatoes. It's just like butter. Cook your eggs in it, your mushrooms. I've got some customers that make biscuits. So just use it as a healthy butter alternative. So, but yeah, they absolutely use it as a cooking oil. I make popcorn with it because it's amazing. You don't have to butter your popcorn.
Yeah, I've absolutely loved cooking with it, and it's so funny because it wasn't until, because we're real salt fiends here, we love our salt, and it was funny because it was like I'd put it on and I'd put a little bit of salt, and it's like boom, and I'm like, oh yay, this is so great, I'm just loving it.
Because
It's
there is no salt in it.
no,
We take the butter. Maybe I could tell everyone how we actually make it so they have a better understanding
that would be
of
amazing.
it. We take the butter and we simmer it for a very, very long time. So, I'm doing a batch. I'm doing about 140 kilos at a time, but it's like a 14-hour day from beginning to end by the time we finish jarring it at the end, because we don't just leave it there. It has to be jarred once we've finished it. It has to sit in the cool room for a certain amount of time. But here's an example of that 140 kilos. That takes about 3 hours to just come up to temperature.
Wow.
We're doing it really slow because you don't want to kill all the nutrients. Then we simmer it away, and it naturally, all the butter oil comes to the top, and all the lactose, caseins, all the milk solids drop to the bottom. And once that's happened, that's clarified butter.
Okay.
We keep going. We keep going. We brown all of those off, and that flavor permeates, and that's that caramelization. So a lot of the ghees you can get on the shelf, I've deliberately done it for the Australian palate. We are butter addicts. So so that caramelization goes through, it permeates through the oil, and then we keep cooking it until we see like this second froth happen, and that tells us that the fatty acid chains are transformed. Wow. And then we pour it off, we strain it, so we make sure that none of that lactose or anything sort of gets in. It is sitting on the bottom, but just to make sure, and then we take it through another straining process when we jar it.
That's amazing. So in relation to what Julie was saying, yes, you can use it with your baking.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Julie. And I'm really open to teaching people how to make it in their own homes. Like I just think it's why hog the knowledge?
I love that. Are you offering courses yet?
Yeah, well, I have done some courses, but I don't know. I got some people like super excited, but I couldn't make it on the day, all of that type of thing. The people that were there, I've done it twice. It was fabulous. But I've just started saying to people, hey, if you want to learn how to do it, get 3 friends together and I'll come to your home. I'll, charge a certain amount per head, and I'll teach you how to do it in your kitchen with your pots and pans, with your, I'll tell you what butter to get or whatever. And then, I think if you're using your own stove and everything as well, you've got that familiarity of your own kitchen.
Yeah. I'm just like going, imagine if you knew how to make the ghee and you had access to an actual organic cow. And, because I grew up on a farm where we literally milked our own cow. It was an organic cow when I think about it, because we didn't put anything out for it. other than just the grass it munched on or the hay. It was literally, I grew up on raw organic milk. And, we would have, the milk would come in and we'd wait for the cream to settle to the top, depending on how soon we stopped milking her. And because some days you got more cream, other days you got less, but like then we'd skim that off, and then it was this whole process. And then at times, we would make our own butter and things like that, and it was great. So I'm like, could you imagine doing all of that and do ghee? I'm like,
well, I have I've got a customer. I go to the Mount Barker farmers markets. We go there to let people try the ghee and sell it. But one of the girls there, they got their own cow, and she was buying ghee off of me all the time. And she goes, I feel so guilty because I'm making my own ghee now. But she's got her own cow, right? It's like, don't feel guilty. Do it. For every person I teach how to make it, there's 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 that are never going to make it.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be telling their friends, oh look, homemade ghee, it's amazing, yeah.
Oh,
I think it's
love
an
it.
abundance, right? We
Mm.
need to live in abundance.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. I'm just like, my whole list of questions and this is sometimes what happens with Tasty Tuesdays, is like, we have this list, but we'll just see where we go. So I'd love to know, like, what is the difference, so that just to really clarify. So there's I will admit, I did end up getting one of the green tubs of ghee.
Yes,
and in between, and it's not of yours. Like, it was one in a tin.
Yeah,
and it's from overseas.
Yeah,
because I was just like, I've run out and I need some more. And then I was like, oh, there's a ghee, I'll pick that up. And it says on the clarified butter ghee. And I'm like, but ghee isn't clarified butter. Lisa told me that.
Yeah. But I think it's a marketing thing. It's how they can get people to sort of know what it is. Like in India, they wouldn't have clarified butter. They just have ghee.
Right.
Because everyone knows what it is. Whereas I think in here, there's sort of like that clarification phrase to clarify that it's, what is it, Yeah.
Interesting. The other thing I noticed with it, though, is that it doesn't perform the same as yours does.
Well, that's interesting. Now, I don't want to
I prefer yours, to be fair.
Absolutely. Well, why wouldn't you? It's Australian dairy. We have the best dairy in the world. Our dairy is so sought after. It's incredible. And we should be supporting. I'm really big on food security, and we should be supporting our Australian dairy farmers. If you want fresh milk and fresh butter, you need to support them and all their, their cheese and their ghee and their ice cream and
absolutely,
because otherwise they're not going to be here in 10 years' time. It's just the way.
100% agree. Hence the reason why we have the second jar now, because I was not happy with the other one. I was like, this isn't doing what Lisa's does, and I'm not happy with it.
So just an interesting fact that in India, the equivalent of like the FBI or whatever they call them over there, shut down ghee factories regularly for adulteration, because you can add vegetable oils to ghee and you won't know the difference. You need to take
cheeky buggers.
And don't even fall for the YouTube videos that go, oh, you can tell what's adulterated and it's not by how when you put it in the pan, like the color. Because I put mine in and I know it's not adulterated and it can go that color. So it's got nothing to do with the color.
Interesting. Yeah. I found it turned how do I say this? It kind of, instead of it cooking like you guys, like yours does, it was like it just kind of boiled it. It's like everything ended up, it was just sort of like, how do I say this? It's sort of like watery, instead of like yours is like a feels like it's actually frying as such. That one just
Well,
kind of
it
went.
is frying, yeah. That's
Whereas,
interesting.
yeah, it didn't perform the same way.
Because the one that you're talking about, I've done some blind testing,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, OMGhee performed the best. But you know, and I had people commenting on, you know, they would, if they saw them in a shelf, because I was doing sort of focus groups a little bit. If they saw them on a shelf, which one would they go for? And you know, there's some that have got, you know, nicer labels, and they go, oh yeah, that's probably the one I would choose. And that time, how easy they were to open, because how annoying is that, trying to open something and you can't get to it. But the green tin actually performed quite well. I think it's because it's got a nice texture when you
Yeah, it does.
yeah. But
Yeah,
I
if you
don't
just
know what's in it, because there is a brand in Woolies. It just comes in a little one, and sometimes I've seen it for like $6 or $7. It's highly caramelized, which is how ghee should be. But for $6, I can't even buy the butter for that. For what
wow.
the butter, and yet it's being made in India, shipped across here, the labor, the shipping, the plastic container it goes in, all the rest of it. It's like, I don't, and then the producer's getting paid, the middleman who ships it here and repacks it, if you like, into something, and then Woolies is getting paid. You know, it's like, how much are they? What is it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting question, isn't it?
Anyway, I like to know where my food comes from, and that
Me
it's
too, to be
good.
fair. And generally, I will actually choose home-based first. And it's just sort of like, okay, that's my first go-to. And then being Kiwi, I'll then go New Zealand second. But I try to do
But they've
Australia
got
first
good
because
butter
I'm
in New
here.
Zealand too.
Mm.
They do. It's all that, you know, beautiful rolling hills there in New Zealand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got
But
really
look,
good nutritious soils and stuff like that too. So it's quite
yeah.
different from here. And so yes,
I just
I
think
love
the
my
way
New
I
Zealand
view
stuff.
it, the way I view it with the food we put in our bodies, is that eventually becomes a part of us.
Yeah.
It's going to become a cell. So I don't know. You're going to build a house. You're going to build it, you know, with bricks or wood or ash, or, you know, like pebbles. Hey, you're building your body with this food. You want to have the best materials you can afford, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I completely agree. I just want to also come back to what you were saying when you're cooking in the factory. And I noticed on your beautiful page that you put up a little video of you doing like the blessings and stuff over
Yes,
your cooking. And I was
yes.
like, oh, that's so cute. I love
I talk
that.
to it. It talks back to me. Sorry. I know it sounds weird, but I often say I didn't choose Ghee. Ghee chose me. It's like it's a Dharma thing. Um, and it was you have a spiritual audience, right? Yeah. So I was
I would
actually
totally get that.
yeah, I was totally finishing up a contract, and I was going to go back into business for myself, in coaching, business coaching. And I was sitting down with my coach and sort of going through, you know, my packages and how I was going to sell it and market it and all the rest. And she said, "Oh, you don't seem very excited, Lisa." I said, "Yeah, I wish I could just make ghee." And then I had another session, you know, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, 20 years I've been doing this. I wish I could just make ghee. So I was talking to myself, but I was discounting it. I was putting up a block to it. And I was doing some, it's not NLP, was it hypnosis? I forget what type of work it was, but doing some kind of work, you know, spiritual, personal development work with a girl. And it's like, I keep saying this and I really want to know where the block is.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, we went through this session, and by the end of it, it was like, I'm going to make ghee. And I had this massive breakthrough, and it was around joy. Whenever I'd had a lot of joy as a child, I was getting shut down. I couldn't be too loud. I couldn't be, And I got to that point, and I was like, at 50, if I can't do something that gives me joy, then what's the point?
Yeah.
What is the point? And so there was this whole spirit as the ghee was transforming, as the business was, I was transforming too. It was really,
Mm-hmm.
it's been this whole transformation process, yeah. And because I honored the Dharma, if you like, if I honored that calling, that everything in my business has just like gone gangbusters and just opened up. We started at the house. We went to the RSL kitchen because I was a veteran. They let me use their kitchen for a peppercorn rent. Now we're in a 300 square meter factory. It's just like in 18 months. We're in all these
Wow.
retailers. We've got a distributor on the East Coast. The one I wanted, the one I was visualizing for. I've got a vision board, and
Mm-hmm.
I was visualizing for that one, and like bang, got it. Just won the 2 awards, the dairy awards.
I saw that.
I know,
Congratulations.
gold. We got silver last year. I wasn't happy.
So instead of just getting a silver this year, you got 2, and one of them was gold, or they were both
I
gold.
know. Well, they rang me up and said, "Oh, you're gonna go in again this year." I was like, "Well, you said it was grainy last year, and the sign of a good ghee, the grain is actually a good thing because it shows good separation of the fatty acid chains.
Right.
And that's why when it gets really soft, you'll start to see the grains come out. We deliberately
Mm-hmm.
put it in the cool room to keep it quite firm, so you can just leave it out on the bench and feel like you can spread it a bit. But yeah, and I said, the judges said it was grainy. It's like, well, that's the sign of it. So they must have gone and anyway got a gold.
They
Hey.
educated themselves thanks
Yeah,
to you.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I
and
love
that's a
that.
really big passion of mine is the education.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And that's part of the reason why I have you on this show, because I'm like, here is something that I don't think I've ever really heard anybody particularly talk about it. It's like I'm aware of it, but I'm not educated about it. So, and if that's where I'm at, and I've been sort of floating around food for a really long time, and I'm not a picky eater, it's like, and I've been around a lot of people who are foodie people. Who else doesn't know?
Well, yeah, I think, Lorraine, I often get people go, "Oh, what's ghee?" And then I get other people go like, "Oh, like it's like a lard or a." There's lots of
Mm,
misconceptions. People are thinking different things about it. Hence why we deliberately put it in the butter aisle. We've taken it out of
yes.
the international aisle and putting it in the butter aisle because we want people to associate that it's a butter, that it's made out
Mm-hmm.
of butter. Um, yeah, and trying to educate people that it's a healthy fat, right? It's been transformed. It's,
Mm.
and that it's lactose free. They're all really big. Yeah. Anyway, like I said, I could.
Huge.
Yeah,
Huge, huge,
but the
huge.
journey has been incredible.
So, where is your health at these days?
Well, much better. Absolutely
Mm-hmm.
much better. I still have to be careful. Like part of the and I don't call it my Hashimoto's because I don't own it. It's just Hashimoto's. It's not a part of me. It's just hanging about at the
Mm-hmm.
moment. But I remember speaking to an old auntie and saying, "Oh, you've got the Hashimoto's," and she goes, "Oh," and she pulls her head back, goes like this, "Yeah, I had my thyroid out years ago, and all your other, grandma's sisters did too." So, and I wasn't really familiar with that side of the family, so obviously there is a genetic thing, and things like
Wow.
stress can set it off. Yeah.
It's amazing how many. I was actually just having a conversation with somebody today about stress. And how they are in a space at the moment where they're just constantly getting sick with colds and things. And they're like, I remember a time before when I used to finish up work and I was still smoking and I was still drinking and I was never sick. And I can't understand. And then I said to him, yeah, but what were you doing after work? And he goes, oh, well, I would sit and I would have a little bit of a drink and be preparing for the next day's stuff. And I was like, right, so you were having downtime. You were having decompressed time for yourself. And he's like, yeah, I was actually. And I was like, and when you stopped smoking and you dialed back on the drinking, he's like, well, it's still on the way home. I'd go off and I'd have a walk down at the beach or something. And I was like, cool. So a different form of decompression time. And now how often do you do that now? And he goes, I don't. And I'm like, that could be part of the problem.
And we're living in such built up areas. Like we're so out of touch with nature.
Yeah.
And our natural rhythms. One of the biggest things that I implemented, also at recommendation of this particular doctor who recommended ghee, was to really focus on my rhythms. So getting up where the body wants to get up, go to sleep when the body wants to sleep. I've never been an early riser and I'm up at 5:30 every morning now, just naturally wake up.
Yeah.
But and I have to go to bed at 9 though, or 9:30. Whereas before I was staying up to 11, 12. I was night out. I used to pride myself on how late I could stay up and work, So listening to your body and getting into those, what I want to say, natural rhythms, because we've got overhead lighting now, and we never used to in the olden days, there was candles, or we gave time for your melatonin to build before you went to sleep and that type of thing. But we've both got lights and blue lights and Wi-Fi and everything. So
yeah, absolutely. It's like I notice when I go camping.
Yeah, right.
You're asleep way, way, way earlier because it's dark.
And you're grounded because you're on the earth. Yeah.
And then you sleep for so many more hours than what you would at home, because you're not staying up till late. Like, because I'm quite a late person, except for when I'm just too far gone. And I was just like, 7:30, okay, I'm in bed now. Bye. But yeah, I notice when I go camping, I sleep for a long period of time. Like I'll be in, depending on when it gets dark, of course. But yeah, I totally agree. The natural rhythms are so thrown off by lights. I actually watched a documentary a while back around how the street lighting is affecting the wildlife, funnily enough, in India. And this, because of all the street lighting and stuff, it's made the animals not know when to go to sleep. So they'll start roaming the streets and stuff at times when they should be asleep because it's light out, and they don't know what to do, and they're all, energetically, they're all off and confused because they don't know when to sleep because it's never dark.
Yeah. Yeah. So and I'll go across the road and just take my shoes off and walk around the oval. I mean, I haven't done that like during winter, but when it's summer, I like to. We invested in like some grounding sheets for a bed because we're in a townhouse, so across different levels and living sort of just in a city. But I've taken over my verge and planted a garden.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I really, really love that. We've got a street library that we've put in and a bench for people to stop. And it's great. It's a real community little meeting place. I think we have to create our own spaces and really mindfully and consciously about what kind of communities do we want to live in and how we're going to create those.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it was interesting what you're saying about just not enough space. And I came from an industry of working in the building industry for 13 years. I was trained as an architectural draftsman. And I look around at the housing that is going up now and has been going up for a really long time, and everything is just packed together, tiny little backyards, pretty much no front yards. You've got like maybe half a meter, if you're lucky, between houses. And I'm just like going, you don't realize your houses require room to breathe. And it's not surprising to me that the amount of sickness is going up, because our houses are living beings as well. They have highs and lows. They expand, they contract with the temperature, with moisture, with all of that sort of stuff. And we're not allowing that natural flow to happen within our house. So our houses literally become sick, which then we're the organic beings within the house. So then we get sick. And I'm just like, you can't put a price on space.
Yeah, we were talking about intelligent design. I just had a thought, how we went through that craze where I've got a plant behind me. Everyone's filling up their houses with plants. And which is a great thing to do. I'm not bagging it, but I'm just starting to think maybe that was like our innate intelligent design to go, hey, we need to get some green in our houses because we're like, losing green. You go into an office and the difference of an office with office plants or office, without, or it's like we've as a community have gone, oh, okay, this consciousness has gone through to go, oh, hold on, all our homes are sick. Let's get some plants in all of a sudden.
Yeah, because of course the plants pull away the carbon dioxide and they give you oxygen. That's why walking in forests feels so good, because you're surrounded by natural oxygen. And it's one of the beauties of living on this amazing planet that we have, is that we have the ability to re-energize ourselves by simply walking in nature. We don't have to go and sit and meditate.
I'm familiar with what's it, Bronwyn Painter, who is like a natural occupational therapist, and that's what she does. She's teaching other occupational therapists to do it, and it's like forest bathing. Just going for a walk, taking time in nature, and they're building a place up in the Adelaide Hills for that to happen. She runs she runs programs. So
fantastic.
Check that out. She's called it the Sanctuary. It just looks amazing. And she's another person that's doing something later in life, that's just gone, you know what, I want to do this.
I love that. So we've sort of touched on a few different things, and I would love to know, what is your most tasty moment, event that you've had in your journey so far?
I knew this question was coming, but I still can't decide. Traveling with my husband's always been really tasty, hanging out with the kids. I think I feel the most connected to myself, because I think something being tasty, you need to feel connected. It's like tasty is going to mean different things to different people. It could be like, what's the most amazing meal you've had? It could be quite literal. And for me, that is, getting my hands in the dirt. I love gardening. Just, like creating space and my most tastiest experience that I can have over and over again is like going out, having a day in the garden, cleaning up, sweeping all the leaves or mulching, and planting a few little seedlings, and then sitting back, especially if it's a beautiful balmy evening after you've watered everything in before the mosquitoes come, and just having a glass of wine and looking out over it and going like, oh, that is so satisfying. And then like looking forward to I'm reading your caption around here, looking forward to the possibility of these plants growing and flowering and visualizing it. And it's just and you've got like dirt on your skin with a little bit of extra sweat because it's just so satisfying and grounding. And you breathe fresh air all day. Your muscles are a little bit tired, but not achy. And you go inside, hot shower, go to bed. But just that one moment sitting there, like looking at all that you've achieved. I'm very task orientated, so that's a very satisfying experience for me.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Oh, I love that answer. Love it, love it, love it. And there's no wrong answer. How cool is that? So what top tip would you give to someone who is just sort of beginning their sort of their journey? I'm going to put it that way. So you can add spiritual business, whatever slant you'd like to give on that one.
Trust your gut. Trust your intuition. Back yourself. I know there sometimes, I could be saying something very controversial here, but sometimes I find in a spiritual journey, sometimes people can be too spiritual to be any earthly good. And I'm sure you've heard that expression before. So if you're on a spiritual journey, just remember to stay grounded. And life is a journey and there's ebbs and flows. Everything always works like this in your journey, and then you'll pop out the bottom and then you'll go back up to the top and you'll go through and you'll pop out the bottom. So, I don't know, someone's studying their university degree, for example, whether it's a spiritual, a business or whatever, a university degree is a journey, right? From beginning to end, or any type of study. And you start at the beginning and you're super excited. Oh, I'm going to do this. And, you've got this vision in front of you about what's going to transpire. Like if it's a wellness journey, I'm going to be super healthy and I'm going to be running marathons and, I'm going to be lifting the heaviest weights, or I'm going to be able to bend myself inside out at yoga, like there's all these kind of visions that you have in that wellness journey. Or, your business, I'm going to be making billions. I'm going to take over the world, right? Spiritual, I'm going to be able to meditate for hours on end, and that bliss that you get into when you meditate. I'm going to just be able to sit in that and, I'm going to be in the quantum field and all this kind of thing. But so that's at the beginning, and we have this massive vision, right, of what's going to happen. And then we take along and we sort of go, I didn't know that was going to happen. That's all right. I'll take that on board, and, I'll learn, and, you keep going, and you hit this point where you're right in the middle of it, and what I like to call, you're in the bowels of it, and it's shit, and it's hard work, and it's, people call it in spiritual, the dark soul of the night or whatever, and that's why people talk of breakthroughs, because you have to get past that, like, before you can then get to the other side, get to your destination. So my piece of it was top tip, right? Keep that vision really close at mind, have your vision board every, night before you go to bed. Sort of just take that moment to rewind the day first so you're nice and clear, and then vision up so you can take it into your subconscious with you. And know that it's okay, that just because things are shit doesn't mean that you haven't been successful. You're just probably in the bowels of it. That's okay. Life happens. Yeah.
Oh,
So
I love that. I absolutely love that analogy. It was just reminding me of when I was doing my diploma in holistic counseling. And I went through that exact process, and I got about halfway through and I was like, oh, and a whole bunch of stuff had happened in my life. And there was like a breakup and a moving of a house and blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, oh, it was so stressful. And of course, in that time, my studies kind of got pushed to the side. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh shit, I've got to keep going. Otherwise I'm not going to complete on time. And I'd come up against this subject around numerology, and I was like, I was just kind of like, oh, it was a really hard task getting through it. And then all of a sudden, I had a big, massive breakthrough in an area of my life where I'd struggled for many years with, all through this particular topic. And I went, whoa. And everything else from there on out was so easy. And I completed it, before time was finished, like before the end of the course, and and it was because it was online study, so it was self-paced, but I had a certain period of time to finish it in. And I was just like, wow. And that particular module still sits with my heart today, because it created so much ease for me, not only with the studies, but with this particular part of my life, which was just so big. And it was like, oh,
And what you're talking about there, Lorraine, is you're reflecting on your totem pole, if you like, of success, of where you've broken through. And I think, while it's very, to provide balance to keep your vision in mind, because sometimes, that can get a bit hazy too, and we can achieve our vision, and then all of a sudden, you're always looking at the horizon, and you can run, you can walk, you can crawl. The horizons are horizons. Doesn't matter how fast you go and how far you go, the horizon is always going to be there. There's always going to be something else. And sometimes that can just that distance between where you are and where you want to be, because you're constantly re-envisioning that, can be a little bit weighty at time. Not all the time, but there can be weight to that. So it's often good to sit back and go, well, hold on, where have I been? What's back there? Where's my totem pole of all the successes that I've done? Because I know in my business, I'm like going, oh, I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do this. And I was being interviewed for something the other day, and they were talking to me, and they're like, and how old's the business? And I said 18 months. And then it just made me go, whoa, that's pretty good, you've done pretty good for 18 months. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so sometimes you need to just pause and reflect on where you've been, and just give yourself
and acknowledge.
A break. Be kind.
Yeah,
they're
acknowledgement
all cliches,
is,
but they're all true.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Like, acknowledgement is one of my big things. It's like with any sessions or anything that I do with people, especially if we're repeat sessions, like over a longer period of time, it's like, well, hang on, we need to just pause here and acknowledge how you were when you first came in. Because even in one session, you can have a big change. But if you're having repeated sessions with someone, it's just sort of like there is massive change that can happen over those weeks and months. And it's like that sometimes you get into that space of going, oh, I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. But it's like the change when you really pause and reflect and you go, oh my God, yes. Wow. And when somebody else also reflects it to you, it's like, oh, geez, okay. I get it now.
Yeah. So, we've got all these vision boards, but maybe, I don't know, random thought, maybe we do need to have the backwards, the totem pole, putting things there as you go along, maybe we need this tool within our coaching models of the totem pole that we stick things on just as much as we do, all the forward thinking and the goal setting and all the rest of it. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. You got my creative brain going. I'm very crafty and creative.
For you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, God. All right. So here's one of my most favorite questions that I ask. Besides, actually, before I ask that question, because I absolutely love this question. So number one, where can people get your product?
Oh, so quite easily, OMGhee.com. So I'm going to spell that though, because some people hear things differently. So it's O for orange, M for Mary, G for giraffe, H for Harry, E.com. No .au, just .com.
Beautiful.
And you can go there and you can type, so you can purchase online and I can post it out to you. Or you can type in your postcode and find a retailer near you.
I picked mine up at
not at your health food store or your retailer, go in and ask for us by name and say they're South Australian and they need to get our ghee
start
in their
stocking
pile.
it. And when what markets are you at next and all of that sort of jazz?
So we're at the showgrounds, Adelaide Farmers Markets at the showgrounds every fortnight. This week we'll be at Goodwood because the Royal Adelaide show's on. So we won't be at the showgrounds. But normally if you just keep a track of the showground markets, we come up in the newsletter when we're going to be there, but it's every fortnight. And we're at the Mount Barker markets the 1st and 3rd Saturday of every month.
Fabulous. Because if you don't know, I now live in Mount Barker.
Oh, really? So Mount Barker's Foodland stock us.
I know. That's just down the road from me, which is where I picked up this beautiful jar.
Yes.
But I'd much rather see you in person and give you a hug.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something wonderful about buying from the maker. I love being at the markets, and we before every farmers market, it's a little bit of behind the scenes for you. One of the rules in the farmers markets is that you have to be set up half an hour before opening time, but that's so everyone else can go and shop at everyone else's stall. So you can go and at Mount Barker, you need to go to that market. You go get your fruit and veg from Dugan's, and you can get your Riverland oranges, and just amazing produce.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to heading over there. The last couple of Saturdays have been really busy, so I'm looking forward to getting over there and actually enjoying that. Oh, thank you. So, most happy, tasty question that I absolutely love to ask is, if you could sit next to any person on a park bench for the afternoon, and this person could be alive or dead, spiritual or spirit form or embodied, who would it be and why?
It'd be my grandmother.
Yes.
Because. Why? Just because. And if you think of your own grandparents or someone most loved, you would. So, yeah. She's the matriarch of our family. She's passed now. So I will definitely sit next to her, get some advice, hold her hand.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely understand that. Yeah, it would be my granddad for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was, as I said at his funeral, he was somebody who put me together many times over my life. And so, yes, I heart space you on that one.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, she's my rock. She's my rock, And we do get to a stage in life where we have to learn how to be our own rock. But sometimes when it's really hard, it's like, just want my rock back.
Yes. It was like I had to use some CRC the other day, and I just went, Granddad. See, the CRC or linseed oil. So, yeah. Both.
Sometimes I do smell her, Um, you know, smell is such a thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and if she ever comes to me in animal form, it's like a dragonfly. Yeah. So, but
That
so there's all this serendipity with the Ghee and that kind of thing. But I do have a real sense that she's up there, um, making a path. Like,
mm-hmm.
and sometimes I think of random ideas and it's like, oh yeah, I guess okay, I'll do that. I can hear her voice like, oh, he's like when she first met my husband, and he's like, oh, she's a good one. He's a good one, like, oh, his eyes are so blue, Lisa. She was sort of off with the fairies. She was in between worlds. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I hear her voice. Yeah.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. And, the beautiful thing is that question opens up that space of possibilities for you
Yeah.
to sit on your park bench, your metaphorical and physical park
Yes.
bench, and actually sit with her and speak with her.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
do.
And I love that. I love, it, like, just about every person has given something different whenever I've asked that question. And, some people go, oh, I was thinking about, what famous person? And it's just like, and then they realize, actually, no, I don't necessarily want a famous person. If I really had to choose someone, it would be da 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 da. And it's like, wow, I love that. Yeah. There's been some
Which comes
interesting.
back to what people say on their all those sayings about people on their deathbed. It's not the money, it's not this, it's relationship.
Yeah,
Yeah, that really
absolutely.
matters. Yeah, it's not
How
the
does somebody
famous
make you
person
feel?
or yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. My granddad, he's funny. He will send me feathers a lot in random places, like that there shouldn't be feathers. And he'll also leave me money.
Nice. Thanks, Granddad.
Yeah. So no, I was like, what? This is pretty cool, but thank you.
Yeah.
It might only be like a 5 cents, a 10 cents, or $1 or whatever, but he's still thinking of me. He's still
Yeah.
sending me money, so I'm happy to keep gathering those. And whenever I get them, I pop them off in a different place, and I never use them.
One day you'll know exactly how much you need and how much is there, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll
it'll
be
be
the
your gift.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go buy yourself a gift.
Well, Lisa, thank you so, so much for joining us here on Tasty Tuesdays. I will definitely be getting down to the farmers market at Mount Barker very soon to see you. I'm not sure how long this will last, so it'll probably be pretty soon. And in the meantime, I just thank you so, so much for coming here to educate us, to share your story, to help everybody out there become a little bit more educated about ghee and their own body, and how these different products can make us so much healthier and better from within.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Yay! Alrighty, everyone. Well, thank you so much for watching now and into the future. And what do we say on a Tasty Tuesday? Be bold, be brave, be you, beautiful ones. Get out there, do something tasty for yourself. And until next time, bye-bye.